Wow, what a call. How does he make that call with 36 left in an EPT? Insane.
Meanwhile, Bracco wakes up with queens. Kerber opens to 60k with 9-8 suited, and this looks like a 3-bet from the Italian.
165. 64.
Make it at 165. I think Kerber is going to be very tempted to see a flop with the 9-8 suited. It's a pretty small re-raise, getting a good price. Might be a little bit suspicious that it's too small. I think it's going to be very nutted. Given the positions and given the size, I expect that we see him call here quite frequently though. Of course, it depends what sort of hands he thinks his opponent is going to re-raise with. If he thinks this size is going to be only the nutted hands, maybe he doesn't feel like he's getting the right price.
Kerber calls. Has to play a 3-bet pot out of position and is dominated right now. Interesting flop. Kerber with a pair of 8s. Backdoor diamonds working for him. Backdoor straight draw as well. From Bracco's perspective, Finton, how unhappy is he about that ace?
Yeah, of course, it's not the flop that he was hoping for. It's going to be hard for him to get multiple bets in for value. I think it's a board in a 3-bet pot that he wants to mostly be betting for a small sizing, just because he's going to have the strongest hands. But at the same time, if you are going to check, queens is one of those hands that just naturally feels right. So he does go for the small size, and I think Kerber, with his hand, might feel he has to call. Obviously, there's a fear that his opponent could have pocket jacks or pocket aces, but with the backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw and a pair, I think 85k, the 400 is just going to be a bit too small to see a fold.
Yeah, he calls, and this hand is going to the turn. 6 of clubs.
I expect we're going to see a check quite frequently here.
7 on the river. So
that
queen's
is not
still good.
An insignificant river though. 9-10 gets there. 8-7 suited becomes 2 pair. When your opponent checks back this turn, a lot of the time they are going to have hands like this. Maybe something like ace-5 suited, that 3-bet, bet small, might be the best hand they're going to have. Going to have kings and queens a lot.
Kerber moves all in, and I'm pretty sure, Finton, we can confidently say this is turning his hand into a bluff.
Absolutely, that's what I was going to say. It's just a nice spot for him to attack his opponent, who you'd probably imagine can't have the strongest hands at this point.
Huge overbet. 5-7-5 was the pot. All in for 7-9-8. And that is a time bank card played by Bracco.
Even if Bracco thinks that he's getting out of line here, the problem with calling with the queens is it makes it less likely your opponent has the king-queen, the queen-10, these sort of hands that are quite natural bluffs. But maybe he feels his opponent wouldn't bluff with those hands, just because it makes it less likely that he has the hands he's trying to get him to fold. So you can pause the clock for a count, really? I never seen that before.
Yep. In an all-in situation, if you want your opponent's stack to be verified, the countdown clock will be paused.
And restarted, I assume, straight away.
Absolutely, as soon as the number is given.
Wow, what a call!
Bracco finds the call with queens and eliminates Kelvin Kerber.
Wow.
Look, guys. Game, buddy. Nice call, sir.
I love the bluff. I love the call. How does he make that call with 36 left in an EPT? Insane.
Incredible hand, and Kelvin Kerber is eliminated in 37th place, cashes out for 31,000 euros. Anywho, we got top pair against second pair here.
Shallow electing to continue. I think it's a board when he opens from early position versus the big blind that he's going to want to bet mostly. Would be surprised to see him bet again. Ponomarev. Gotta feel pretty confident that he has the best hand now. His opponent very likely to double barrel if he has any sort of flush draw. Not likely to check a better hand on the turn. So I'd feel very comfortable betting reasonably large here. Frustrating size for Shallow. If he elected to raise, it could be somewhat interesting with the ace of hearts, but I just don't think he's likely to have checked too many flush draws on a turn, so it might not be very believable. Given the price, I think he probably just needs to pay it off. Unless he thinks, of course, that his opponent just doesn't have enough bluffs for just under half pot. But again, the problem for him is if he doesn't check any kings that he opens from under the gun on the turn, this might be the best hand that he has on the river. But again, all just boils down to whether he thinks his opponent bluffs this size ever. Oh wow, he's going to raise. This is a super interesting spot for Ponomarev. He has a really good hand to make this call with. Once his opponent makes it 100k, he's pretty much just repping flushes. So how many flush draws is he going to check on the turn? Maybe ace-9 of hearts, 8-9 of hearts. A couple of hands. But everything else, that's a flush draw. So likely to barrel. I think you can probably discount Queen-Jack as well. So unlikely to check the turn. With the King of Hearts in his hand and the Jack, just in case the opponent did get tricky with Jack Queen from time to time. Does make the call, I like it. I think Shallow tried to rep that nut flush draw, but just doesn't check enough flush draws on the turn to really represent them very well, and picked off very nicely. That's a huge pot, 226,000 chips. So close to the bubble as well. I'm impressed with that call.
So action folded Tim Adams in the small blind. He's going to complete with 7 deuce of diamonds, and Griffin Benja elects to see a free flop with King 4 in the big blind. Queen, Queen 10, just the 1 diamond. Check, check. Eight of hearts on the turn. And once again it goes check, check. 10 of diamonds on the river. Double paired board now.
Interesting if Adams maybe elects to bet very, very small here. Or if he just decides to wave the white flag, obviously playing the board. Maybe try and get Griff to fold some 9 highs or some chops.
If he does bet here, Finton, do you think Griffin calls with king high?
Depends what size he bets.
Okay, so 30,000 in the middle, and it's an overbet, 45k.
I think it's kind of hard. Would Adams elect to take this sizing with an ace. Maybe he feels like he can due to the fact that Griff has bet twice or checked twice, unlikely to check a 10 or better. So maybe he can take the sizing with an ace, but at the same time, it's hard for Adams to have a 10 or a queen himself that would check twice, I feel. I think it's a pretty tough spot. I think it's a nice sizing. I think if he bets less than pot, it's going to be a pretty easy call for Griff. But versus this size, he's definitely put him in a spot of bother.
Griffin calls, and it's a good call. King plays.